Well, good morning. It's great to see you again. I'm sitting in one of our children's Sunday school classes. I miss having Sunday school each week with you. I can't wait till the time comes that we can be able to gather together again and get back into Sunday school and things like that. But just wanted to do this video from one of our classes and just enjoy being here and thinking of all the folks that are in our classes and just the time that we have together in fellowship. But I got a few thoughts I want to share with you this morning as I have finished up reading the book of Judges this morning. I'm going to be looking at the last several chapters in Judges real quick. But I shared with you last week that one of the main verses in the book of Judges was there at the very end in Judges chapter 21, verse 25. And it says, "In those days there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes." And that really sums up the entire book of Judges. We have read some crazy things that have taken place. And then I think some great examples are here in these last few chapters. Things that people thought were right. Look at this with me real quick. Chapter 17, you have a man by the name of Micah. He makes an idol for his own family there in his home. And there's a Levite, a priest of God, who's traveling through, and Micah takes the Levite, asking him to become his own priest. And that seems right to Micah. But then the crazy thing is the Levite says, okay, I'll do it. So basically, Micah sets up and establishes his own religion right there in the promised land, right there where God had given Israel this promise. And that seemed okay to them. They didn't have a problem with it. I'll go on into chapter 18. We see that the tribe of Dan comes in there. They are looking to take possession of their inheritance. Now, here's a crazy thing. They go to Micah's house, take the idol that Micah has set up for his own family religion, and they take that into battle with them to go take possession of the land that God had promised them. And that seemed okay with them. That seemed like it was all right. And so they win the battle, and then they end up setting up priests for themselves, again, forming their own religion. And here's a wild thing here. It says that Jonathan was one of the priests that they set in place. Jonathan was the son of Gershom, and Gershom was the son of Moses. Here's the grandson of Moses serving now as a priest for a false religion in the promised land. And everybody was good with it. Everybody was okay with it. We go on into chapter 19, and one of the craziest chapters in the book of Judges. We see the Levite and his concubine. And the men of the city of Gibeah, they thought it was good to go to this man's house and try to take the Levite by force. And their intent was to rape him. And we read something very similar of that in the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. So here are, that horrible wickedness that took place in Sodom and Gomorrah is happening among Israel, God's chosen people. And the Levite, instead of offering himself up, he offers his concubine. And of course, the men of the city rape her all night long. Horrible. But the Levite thought that was okay. Then the Levite takes her home. She's dead, and begins to just chop her up and send out those parts to the different tribes of Israel. And everybody's okay with this. That seemed like the right thing to do. How horrible, how horrific, what a demented mind that is to think that it's okay. Then we move on into chapter 20. Chapter 20 is the tribe of Benjamin, who the men of Gibeah were part of. The tribe of Benjamin thought it was good to defend the men of Gibeah And so this huge battle breaks out between the tribe of Benjamin and the other tribes of Israel. And so many men get slaughtered in this battle, but it's all because the men of Benjamin thought it was good to defend these criminals and what they had done. Then, of course, the book closes in chapter 21. The tribes of Israel, that they have pity on the people of Benjamin because so many of them have died, and there's not enough women for the remaining men to be able to take as wives. So what do the tribes of Israel come up with? What's their grand plan for helping the tribe of Benjamin to continue on? They say, well, there's going to be a celebration here at Shiloh. So why don't you men go basically kidnap these women and take them for your wives? Oh, that's crazy, is it not? That is some of the craziest things that we've read so far as we've been going through the Bible. And all of it comes back to that one verse. They did what was right in their own eyes. And I think that should be a lesson to us that we have just in our own selves, if we are not following God's word, if we are insisting on living our own way, we have a very, very flawed perception of what's right and what's wrong. We can condone and justify any sin. We can come up with an excuse for it. And you think about all of just the horrible things that we see going on in the world around us, all of the abuses, all of the murders, we see kidnapping, sex trafficking, human trafficking, abortion, and all these just horrific things. And for some folks who refuse the truth of God's word, they defend that and say that it's okay. It's our right. We have the right to choose. This seems right to us. So it really shows us that if we are not rooted in God's word, how far we can really get away, just how depraved the human mind can be. That's why we don't just trust ourselves to figure out what's right and wrong, but we need God's word every day in our lives to help guide us and to show us God's perspective of right and wrong. What God says is right, what God says is the holy thing to do, what God says is just, and then the things that God says are wrong, things that God calls a sin. And that's how we need to be making our judgments whenever we are trying to make decisions for our lives and how we're going to live. Instead of relying on our own self and our own flawed thoughts of what is right and wrong, we need to dig into God's word and say, God, what is right according to you? Help me live according to your word. So I hope that's a little bit helpful for you, especially as we're finishing up the book of Judges. I hope you've enjoyed that so far, and I look forward to being able to talk with you again soon. Love you.